and we got Diego Magdaleno on. Are you there, man?
Sure, it's Fuego in the house. How are you guys doing?
Great. I'm doing really, really good.
Man?
Very good.
Thank you so much for coming on. Go ahead, Chief Funky.
Well, my name is G Funk, so thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it. How you have coming up in September? Isaac Cruz. I believe it's going to be a no fan thing, right? No fans, and it's going to be in the bubble.
It is.
So I just want to ask you about that. I've had a chance to ask, and we're getting a lot of mixed reviews on how fighters feel about fighting in the bubble. So do you think that will affect you at all?
For me, it's gonna be. I've been in the ring so many times. I fought on cards that I didn't have fans on the start of my career, where you show up and you're the first bout on, and you get in, you get out. There's no fans really, So you have to. I've seen it all. You have to learn to adapt right away. What I told my brother Jesse, who was one of the first fights back, and we talked just the fight week and went over little things, and that was one of the things. He was like, getting in there without any fans is definitely going to be different. But I was like, okay, it's our job. It's we have to look at it like a job. And I said the same thing when I fought in Nashville. I was like, we had to look at it as a job. I went in there, I clocked in, I clocked out. I did my work. I went into a crowd where, once again, I was the underdog by far. I was in his backyard. I was like, it's things like that, adversity you have to overcome. I'm like, this is nothing different. We have a son. We have to go to work, clock in, clock out, and get out, do our work, and then go home and go rest, enjoy the victory. I'm like, so mentality-wise, you have to kind of – boxing is something you have to kind of trick yourself. You have to be good at it. Going into the ring, you have to psych yourself out. That's one thing I did in my last fight. The crowd was going crazy when I walked out. The boos were super loud. It's a little intimidating, but you have to walk out. You have to walk out with this, macho-ness, with this fire. You have to show other people that it doesn't phase you. The boos, the crowd. You have to absorb all of it and use it as fuego, like I did.
Yeah, that's right. And what's funny is you bring that up. I was going to ask you. That was my second question about your last fight against Dulé. Now, you won that fight, unanimous decision, but he did a lot of complaining about low blows that were good shots, because Jack Reese noted as soon as you guys came to the center of the ring, he said, "Look, both trunks are a little high, and I'm gonna let you guys work right here."
Yeah. Yes.
And from what I seen, I think maybe you might have landed a couple that were a little below that, but they weren't like in the balls or anything like that. Like, they were like on the leg, on the hip area.
Right.
But he kept complaining about that, and Jack Reese took a point. So I just want to know from a fan's perspective, because it gets frustrating for me to see a fighter do that. You could clearly see you're not hitting him that low, and he's pretending like you're hitting him that low. How do you overcome something like that? Is it really frustrating for you? And especially when you got a point taken away from it, I don't think you should have.
Yeah, it can be frustrating. In a fight like that, you have to zero in on exactly what you want and what it's going to happen. You're shooting for the victory. Let nothing stop you from getting to that victory. And my mentality has always been that. I've been in fights, where the majority of my fights are with right-handers, meaning that, you get the headbutt, the constant headbutt. So I have scarring to show it. My opponents have, in a clinch or, on reaching in for a shot, where we have clashed heads, my opponents have always shown weakness when they start complaining. When they show me that it hurt them or that it bothered them, or I look for signs like that. When my opponent is showing me signs of weakness, that's when I jump on it. So the commentators in my last fight were saying, you think he would stop going to the body, if they're deducting points from him. And I knew that was bugging him. That made him feel uncomfortable. And you can tell Lennox Lewis was one of the guys that said, you know what? It's working for him. So why should he stop? I would be more conscious of where you're placing those shots. But if it's the body attack is working, why stop now?
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell, man, he just didn't like those shots to the body right away, man. So I want to ask you, we were just talking about one of the young fighters in your division with Teofimo Lopez. Now, you've been in the ring with him.
Right.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out. You came up short in that one. But in your opinion, what do you feel like you could have done different in that fight to, possibly get the W in that one?
I think that fight in general was the team that I was going out. So you going into a fight, right? You have to trust in your team, right, to carry you to the victory, because it's a big part of your training camp. Who's behind you? Who are you considering to be, to look after your best interests while you're in the ring going out to war? Because that's what it is. You get in the ring and it's just you in there. You're going out to war, but you need the confidence in your corner and your team to kind of carry you through and motivate you and get you in there, push you forward and guide you the right way. I didn't have that. I went into the ring, or I went into that fight alone without having, the backing. My last fight with Austin Dulé, all I had really was Bones Adams. From the start of training camp all the way to the fight. He didn't show up until the day of the fight. But once he got there, I knew our plan. I knew everything we worked in our training camp, and that's all I needed. So he created a whole team, and he had the security. I felt I had the security in the corner to kind of, to back me. If any, given moment I would need that push or that extra. Bones he's there. His presence alone in my corner was enough to kind of give me the confidence to go out there and do what we did in the gym.
Right on, man. So I got just one more question, and then I'm done with mine, and then I'll let these guys go. So I feel like, you still got a lot to offer a lot of these guys in that 135, and this is a stacked division, man. There's a lot of young fighters. So who are you looking at, man, after your fight with Isaac Cruz? I think you're going to beat him. So I'm going to ask you, man, and I want you to overlook him, but
no, not at all. I've been with so many guys, right? And we look over no one, because everyone can land any shot. It just takes one shot, to take you out or to shift the whole fight.
Right. So who would you like to, out of all these young up and coming guys, who do you think you could get in there and possibly actually get in the ring with you, and who would you like to fight?
Well, the person that I would like to fight would be Gervonta Davis. He holds a title. At this point in my career, that's what I'm aiming for, a shot at the title. I've done all my there's no step up fight. There's no, you know what I mean? I've climbed that ladder already. There's no need for me to get in the ring and prove myself. That last fight I already did against a damn near undefeated fighter who had knockout power, who was, I want to say 10 years younger than me or whatever. But, when they counted me out, I got in there and I overcame, and I showed the crowd and the boxing fans that Diego's still here. They counted me out after that Teofimo fight. They definitely did. And then they brought me along to kind of get destroyed by this young up and coming kid, who had, titles in his near future. But I destroyed that in one night. So that puts me in position right away for another title fight. So that's basically where I'm at. There's so many guys that I can line up with and fight. The Ryan Garcias is the big name out there, who's a young guy. But that fight could have happened, a few years ago, but he decided to turn that one down. That's the thing with these younger fighters. That's one thing that, I've never turned down a fighter. I've always, that's how I look at it. I look at it, it's my job. They line somebody up, I'm getting in there. You know what I mean? Whether I was sick in that fight with Teofimo or not, it's my job. I did what I had to do. I got in there. I made weight. I got in there, and I gave the boxing fans a good fight. They were excited. After the fight, I got a lot of encouragement, telling me, you went down, but you kept getting back up. You're a fighter. You're a warrior. So I mean that in that sense, it kind of gave me a lot, to keep my head up. When others were telling me, it's time to hang them up and retire, that didn't sit well with me. So what I did was I just reorganized my team, and it turned out to be a one-man team. Bones Adams, who I've known ever since I was 9 years old, and now we're talking a year later from the Teofimo fight. We're talking about world title fights now. I'm in the top 10 once again. I'm ranked in the top 10 again. When everyone counted me out, a year later, look where I'm at now. So it's up to me to get in the ring and do work. So from my mentality and my point of view now, it's just let's get to work.
Right on, man. Well, hey, good luck with your fight in September against Cruz, man. And good luck, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter. Go ahead, Pete.
Diego, how you doing tonight? I want to ask you a question. You're 33 years old. Obviously, this is coming from a 50-year-old, so 33 is not old in normally human years.
Right.
But in boxing, but in boxing years, you would be considered middle-aged, so to speak. So you could be going through your middle-age crisis or midlife crisis in the boxing in the boxing years. So what I want to ask you is, because you're 33, you had your ups and downs. You've been in there with the best.
Yeah.
Is there now a sense of urgency? Do you feel like your back's up against the wall and you got to make it happen now? It's do or die for you now, every fight out. Do you feel that you're in that type of position in your career?
Hell yeah, I do. Hell yeah. I mean, every fight I fight like it's my last fight. So once again, here we go again. You know what I mean? It's my last fight. That's my approach. So I got to make it worthwhile. I got to have fun with it. That's one thing that I've enjoyed with Bones. He's kind of taught me to slow things down, enjoy it. You don't have to do so much to get something big. That's one thing that I'm still learning, and I've seen it all, but every day in the gym, I'm learning so much. So that's one thing I'm fortunate to have, someone who's been in the ring, who's been experienced. And we were just talking the other day. He goes, it took me 3 times to get that world title. He goes, and here's your 3rd shot. I'm like, wow, I'm not stopping until I get it. So the urgency, of course, I'm at a point where I don't want to do this for long. A year ago, I got my real estate license. So I've got something else going for me, and I've been doing real estate here in Vegas. I'm currently working on getting my real estate license in Utah because since the whole pandemic happened, a lot of people are moving out of the big cities and into rural areas. So I got to go where the money is. You know what I mean? So that's the exit game, and I like it. I was just talking to my brother Jesse, and I showed him a couple of houses. He's like, look, I see that you've made money in real estate. So, I mean, I'm looking for your opinion. Where do you think I should, get my next investment home? I'm like, okay, well, let me show you a few places. So, I definitely know where, my career is, where I'm at in age, so you have to kind of take that into consideration. But I'm on the way out, and I'm having fun with it. So that's the most important part. I've heard it many times from other fighters, like, hey, when you're doing this for one reason, and it's not a great reason, you're doing it only for the money or things like that, it's time to kind of hang them up. But me, I'm having fun with it. You know what I mean? I'm not too long ago, I watched my last fight with my 3-year-old, and man, it was the best time of my life. Like, just watching him. I put a short little video on my Instagram with him when he was like, "Go, Dad, hit him, Dad, hit him, go to the body." You know what I mean? Like, he knows. So, that's the other part of it. Where I spoke to Jesse, because Jesse has a son too, and it's one thing we share in common is our boys, and we love our boys. But we know where we're at in this game, and we know what we need to do to kind of fulfill our dreams and the dreams of our sons.
Now, I asked Mickey Ward this question, and I'm going to ask you this question too, and I'm going to tell you how he answered it, and it's going to kind of tie it together in how I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
So I asked Mickey Ward if there was any regrets that he had in his boxing career, and when one regret he had was, I took too many tough fights in a row. I should have kind of spaced them out a little bit, and I probably could have extended my career a little bit. Now, when I look at your record and your resume, you've always taken on the top guys, and anytime the call was made to you, you always picked up the phone and you answered it.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that in your career, your fights have been mapped out the way they should have been, or do you think that maybe you could have spaced out some of these tougher fights and it could have been beneficial to you? What are your thoughts on that?
I sure can. I mean, the last fight and the only fight that, obviously is the Teofimo fight. I've learned a lot from that one because I was sick a couple weeks before the fight. I decided to get back in the ring and go for it and, take the fight, move forward. Then they decided to, make it a title fight at the last minute. So things like that, they play a role because of the weight, right? So if there was if they put the titles up at the last minute, then there was a 10-pound weight difference. So I knew that he was in the day of the weigh-in, he was on the treadmill running, trying to get some weight off. So that would have played a big role and a big factor going into that fight if they would have made the 10-pound weight limit. So things like that, little things like that I've learned. I'd be cautious for. I'd go about it a different way. But as far as my whole career goes, Top Rank did a great job with me. They lined up the right fighters in front of me. And, towards the end, after I left Top Rank, I was pretty much freelancing. I was doing things on my own. I went with Cancun Boxing, just to get my feet wet back in there after that loss. And, I got a couple of wins and I came back, and that's when they noticed me, and I was able to fight back in the States again where I was meant to fight, kind of showcase my talent and make it worth my while. But now moving forward with PBC with PBC and the whole Al Heyman team it's been great because I've been against those guys, and I've known a lot of their staff members from the amateurs when I was going and fighting the nationals. So I'm well known in the whole team and the whole gang out there. So they definitely treated me with respect. They know who I am. They know where I've been. So they're interested in working with me, which is why they signed me. And they said, you have a lot of gas left in that tank, so we want to just kind of make the best of it. So welcome to the team. That was the first thing. Coming down after that fight, I saw Sam Watson hanging out right at the stairs, and when I walked down the stairs with open arms, he's like, welcome to the team. He gave me a big hug, and I was like, I felt really welcome with the team. So I'm actually very, very happy where I'm at. And to move forward on my next fight, they've got me on I'm the main event on the first half of their show, and then they're going to switch into the Showtime where the Charlo brothers will be fighting. But they're definitely highlighting my career, and I like where it's going. Now,
like I said, you've had your ups and downs, but you've always been a top 10 guy in any division you fought in. You've always managed to stay in the rankings. You got this fight coming up now. Has anything been promised to you if you win this fight? You going to get an eliminator down the road? What is the schedule going to be mapped out for you in terms of getting a title shot? I'm sure you've talked to your manager and your team. How long do you think it's going to take you? Because third time could be a charm for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. So this fight will definitely put me as a mandatory to fight for the WBA and the IBF. Yes, it will. So I'm excited with that. It's going to be a 12-round war with this kid. And like I said earlier, I'm not taking anyone lightly. I'm getting in there and go to work. It's my job to get in there, go over the game plan, stick with the game plan. That's the one thing that's always faulted me is when I try to do things, on my own, go off, natural ability. I trust in Coach Bones' work. So with that, I mean, you guys are going to see another victory, and hopefully another, shot at the title by early next year. This year's been, I'm actually thankful for having, this will be my second fight this year. Probably one of the only fighters to have 2 fights this year. Most of these fighters have, they waited out the whole year and only got 1 chance at it. My brother's another one who's scheduled to fight in October against a worthy Navarrete. So that's a good big fight for him too. So we definitely have talked already and made plans for investing in real estate. But I said, hey, keep your head on straight, go to work, get that victory, and get out. Come happy. We got kids at home waiting for us and watching. So that's
so you could be in line for the Lomachenko Lopez winner then. You're right. You're right on. You're knocking on the door right now.
Yes, I am. And either one of those guys, I would love to get back in the ring with Teofimo. You know what I mean? I would love that fight. Just to kind of show him who he's against with the real team. You know what I mean? with an opponent who's 100% there. There won't be no excuses. But and not that I made the last fight any excuse. He got in there and he did his thing. I congratulated him after the fight. But hey, I'm here again and I'm in your face. So what are you gonna do? Type thing. So hey, I just have to stick my head on my shoulders, keep it straight, go to work. That's my whole goal and my mentality right now. Just go to work.
Let me ask you about your opponent, right? Isaac Cruz Gonzalez. What do you know about him? Because I know you mentioned it's going to be a 12-round war. Is that what you're preparing for? Or you kind of know it's going to be really tough?
You have to prepare. You have to always prepare for, if it goes 12 rounds, you go 12 rounds. However, you know what I mean? Whatever comes at you, whatever's there in the ring. What I see is it's nothing I haven't seen already. He reminds me of a few fighters that I mentioned to my coach in the gym, and I was like, look, he is a strong, young fighter, okay? A lot shorter than I'm used to. Most of the guys I'm fighting, I'm getting in the ring with are a lot taller. So we're changing little things to kind of maximize my gain on a shorter opponent. But he's strong. It looks like he's got power in both hands. He's stationary, which is going to be the biggest thing for me. If he's not much of a boxer, not much of a mover, so he's always going to be there. Now, 2 things can happen. I can use my reach, I can use my distance, or I can use short circles and move around them to kind of break them down. And, that's going to be the game plan, break them down. Somebody who's going to be right there in front of you for you to take advantage of is what I'm going to do.
Okay. Now, I just want to go through some chat questions here. Let's do a 2-part here because someone's asking haplotypes as who are your inspirations as southpaws from the past, and kind of a similar question from Miguel Mondragon's asking, what boxers do you pattern your style after, if any?
Hector Macho Camacho is definitely one that I've always been a fan of. His boxing ability in the ring, the way he uses angles and moves in the ring, that's one that really, really stuck out. Now, another one that I've been looking at, which we're all, I think, fans of, is Canelo. The way how he's a shorter fighter, right? He goes in there with a taller fighter, but the way that he can kind of slip a shot and be in the pocket within range is very, very crafty. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of timing, a lot of practice to do that, to be able to, his head movement. And it only takes, 2 inches to slip a punch, but to be there in the line of fire to kind of, dig in a good body shot is tough, especially in the earlier rounds when you have a fresh fighter coming out. So that's one thing I do admire of Canelo is the way he can stay in the pocket. And that means within reach, even though he's fighting a taller guy he makes that fight at his range, which is close range for him, where he has the ability to land a shot but still be on the outside. So that's one thing that I've always paid attention to with Canelo.
Now, another question here is if we could ask you to break down Loma versus Teofimo Lopez. I mean, I know you'd rather talk about you fighting them, but how do you see this fight? And also, do you think the fact that Teofimo Lopez has fought you, southpaw, is going to kind of help him prepare for Lomachenko here?
Maybe not. The way I see this fight going down is look, they're both great fighters, right? Teofimo, I've always been, someone who I think hasn't really fought someone with experience, right? They were thinking he was getting me out in just 2 rounds, in which he fought a world champion and took him out in 2 rounds. He got in the ring with me and we went down seven rounds. But I think a Lomachenko fight with him and Lomachenko is going to be a good one. It's going to be explosive. But overall, I think that Lomachenko he's a tremendous fighter. He's an athlete. He's a great mover. He knows when to strike. He knows how to get in position to strike. This is something that Teofimo hasn't seen, a lot of movement. He's always been, the manhunter in there, breaking people down and getting them out. But with the little adversity like Lomachenko has, and the skill and the speed, the craftiness that he is, I think he's going to play a big game. It's going to be a game changer for him.
Oh, I thought we were going to go with the underdog there, Diego. You let me down there. thought you were going to be on. I thought you were going to ride with us. Me and G-Funky are picking Tio. I thought you were going to ride with us.
Yeah. Well, I'm going against you guys. So. Yeah.
Hey, if he dispatches Lomachenko, it makes you look good. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah.
It would be. It'd be different from him. You know what I mean? He hasn't been. I don't think he's seen a southpaw. And it does change. When I fought Austin Dulé, I fought maybe 2 southpaws my whole career, and that's over 30 fights. So it definitely does play it changes. It's a game changer when you get in there with someone of a different stance. It does. When you're geared, when I fought so many right-handers, it's like, okay, you do the same thing. You practice the same way. You stay on the outside of their foot. You throw the left hand. You come back with the hook. Like it's repetition. You get so good at it, and it works every time. Then you do something backwards. It's like walking backwards for a day. It does make a little things difficult. So I had to train. I had to slow everything down and go back to the basics. And once I got the hang of it, I started doing really good. And I think my confidence grew when I got in there with Blair Cobbs and I started sparring not only a taller guy but a bigger guy, And what I saw there, and I think what Bones saw in the ring that the time I was in camp was what really changed his mind. He's like, damn, okay, like, all right, no more defense. He was telling me in the beginning, hey, just, play it cool, use your defense, stay on the outside. And then when you get on the inside, that's when I need you to work. But after, the 3rd round, he was like, hey, change your plan. I need you to go forward. So that made my confidence go up. So it was a good learning experience.
Absolutely. Got fuego here, Diego Magdaleno, man. I want to thank you for coming on live to Hispanics Causing Panic. You guys can catch this fight. I'm glad because I was going to ask you if it was going to be on the pay-per-view. So it's going to be like on Fox before the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I'll be the main event on Fox, yeah.
There you go. You guys can catch that fight on Fox. Make sure you check that out, right? That's some free boxing before you have to pay for it. So there you go. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's a good one. Yeah, a real good one. So I know everyone's going to be watching that one.
Absolutely. Let everybody know where they could find you, on social media, and anything you want to say to your fans out there.
On Twitter on _2fuego, Facebook Diego Magdaleno, and on Instagram _2fuego also. Hey, this is a rebirth. You know what I mean? It's someone with a whole different team, whole different mentality, and I think that makes me very, very dangerous going into these next fights. You see.
Absolutely, man. And one quick question before you go. Can you describe the feeling you had right before your first pro fight? Were you anxious or nervous? From Drew Titan in the chat.
Me, I was anxious. I was not so nervous. I was more excited because before I walked out to the ring, I remember Bruce Trampler and one of the matchmakers from Top Rank and Brad Goodman, they were discussing something. They're like, look, this is a durable guy. He's got a lot of experience. I think he had 9 fights to my debut. But every fight that he had, he didn't get knocked out. That's what they were big on. He's like, this is a worthy guy. He has a lot of draws. So you can't really count those as losses or wins, but this guy's game. He goes, and yeah, you won't knock him out. So for 4 rounds, I went out there trying to knock this guy out. And obviously they're experienced, but my first fight, I was going for the knockout. I was fighting it at the Hard Rock, in front of my fans. So I was at home and I was trying to do something big, and I try to take his head off, and I think that's where I went wrong. I didn't throw one body shot. I went out there just head hunting, trying to knock him out, But it was my first fight, and I won every round of it. But it was a good fight, a good learning experience also.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's Diego Magdaleno. You have yourself a great day, man.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.